had to step away from outpatient medicine because of how stressful it was, the burnout, even before the pandemic. And then once you get into it, you're seeing 28, 30 people a day. You don't have protective equipment and people are just looking for answers. And you just realize, okay, this system is abusive to us.
So you mentioned something about the burnout before the pandemic. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So a lot of times for us, especially physicians, there's a lot of work that is not medical in nature. When we do outpatient medicine, for example, the basic rule is that for every patient, you have 2 hours of paperwork to do or 2 hours of electronic paperwork to accomplish. So you're seeing 20 people a day, 24 people a day, that adds up. And then that correlates to around an 18-hour work day just to get through everything in the state up to date. So I was really overwhelmed just by the load of work that came with seeing the people. Seeing the people was great, but following up with insurance companies, you got to call labs to see why the lab wasn't done. You got to call back for results. You're calling pharmacy to make sure medications are being filled. If not, why is it not in the formulary? Why did the insurance company reject it? There's so many administrative and bureaucratic tasks that you're burdened with on a day-to-day basis. And you take a lot of that work home with you. And in a lot of other sectors, when you do your job and you clock out, job is done. You don't go home and do more work. With healthcare, it's not really set up that way, especially on an outpatient primary care basis. And you work through it in the beginning because you want to care for the people. That's what you signed up for. You went to school for it. You took on debt for it. You did all these things to care for people because that was your passion. But then you have all of these other tasks that are added on top of that, that you never went to school for, that you really shouldn't be doing, but you're forced to do in order to take care of the patient. So over time, it adds up. You know, when you're on vacation and you're still doing charts, and you're still calling in imaging, and you're still having to talk with patients, and you're supposed to be on vacation. So over time, when you don't get rest, eventually you start to become fatigued mentally, physically, emotionally. And that's where the burnout factor comes in for a lot of people in healthcare. And especially during the pandemic, it got worse for a lot of physicians that were just overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of people and the lack of resources given to help people. So burnout is a serious thing within healthcare. And a lot of times we're not really told about how to manage it. We're not taught how to deal with it. We're basically told, hey, this is what you signed up for, deal with. Or, hey, you guys make such and such salary. You should be okay with that. That salary makes it okay. Like there's that culture of you should just put up with it and sacrifice your well-being in order to continue the job. And then the burnout gets worse because you feel like you're not really appreciated. You can't take care of all the patients or give every patient the time they need. Then you're frustrated by that. And you really feel like you're fighting against the system by yourself and that no one understands. And so that's where the emotional and mental toll just starts to wear on you. And then you have burnout.
For us, by us, and just for us, this is hope for med.